Hello, and welcome to the Assessment Alchemist, the podcast where we transform the daunting world of assessments into a journey of empowerment and achievement for educators and students alike. I'm Tina Wiles, your guide in this quest to conquer test anxiety and unlock the secrets of effective test preparation. In each episode, we'll mix the perfect blend of expert insights, practical strategies, and inspiring stories, all designed to help you turn test taking into a positive, enriching experience for your students. Whether you're a teacher, a school counselor, or an educational enthusiast, you're in the right place to create alchemy and learning and assessment. So let's dive into today's topic and discover how we can turn educational challenges into opportunities for growth and success. Welcome to the Assessment Alchemist. And today I am thrilled that we have Kirt Manecke on the podcast. Kirt is an award-winning author, entrepreneur, fundraising consultant, and book coach. He writes crash course supplemental books to equip students and employees with essentials, social, and career skills for success. So welcome to the podcast, Kirt.
Thank you, Tina.
And I have right here, it's probably, I don't know if it's mirrored, but it's Smile and Succeed for Teens. So this is one of Kirt's books. It was based off of another book, correct?
It was based off, and I don't know if you can see this, it was based off my first book, which is a 60-minute crash course in customer service and sales.
Got it. So that was you, like that book was going so well, you actually got feedback from people, right? To like,
that
hey,
book actually didn't do that well because most
really?
it's funny, most businesses think they have great service and they don't need the book. The teen book does well, but yeah, I had all these moms and teachers tell me you have to get that first book in the schools. It's all the people skills kids aren't learning. So I did, and like DECA teachers bought it, but then I decided to write the one you're holding just for
Yep.
teens. And that sells a lot better. So it's kind of funny. You would think the first book would sell good because service is so bad in many places.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And no, I love that. So I read the book, and I was telling Kirt that I thought it was phenomenal. It's very easy to follow, and very implementable, like easily implementable ideas. And it goes through everything from like top people skills to like things with like working on trying to find a job, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what, I put the top 10 in the very first section because I thought if that's all a young adult ever reads, they'll be way ahead of the pack, as far as greeting a customer, smiling, saying hello, making friends. That's so important. So I thought, let's get that in there. If they get that out of it, that's huge.
So how did you come up with the name?
You'll laugh, but my friends got so tired of me when we'd go out to eat. I'd ask the waitress, do you have teenagers? And I'd ask them. I surveyed so many moms and dads, mainly mothers, about the title, and that's what they kind of came up with. They really liked the Smile and Succeed. I probably should have called it Employability and Social Skills for Teenagers. That would have been clearer. But that's how I came up with the title. I wanted to base it on the first book, which is called Smile, but then they helped me with the rest of it.
So why do you think smiling is such a, like, obviously you named your book Smile, right? Like,
Yes.
Why is it so important?
Great question. The reason I titled both my books Smile is when you enter a business or you make a new friend, that smile, especially in business, is so important. It really sets the tone for all future interactions. Like if you walked in a bank and the people were crabby versus somebody smiling and saying, hi, how are you? It's good to see you again, Tina. Makes all the difference in the world. And it sets the foundation for all future transactions. And there's even a smile study that shows that if a customer is greeted by somebody who's smiling and happy, they actually buy more. But, really common courtesy wise, it's just so important in life to have that smile and make people feel at ease and make them feel welcome.
It is. Yeah. So it helps the other people, right, that you're talking to
Yes.
to feel differently about you. But isn't there research about like how smiling actually affects you as well?
Yes. It really releases the endorphins. There have been a number of studies on happiness with smiling and laughing and smiling. Yes, it makes you feel better. And for young adults now with all this anxiety, getting them smiling and feeling more confident about themselves can really help relieve the stress too, like you're talking with the smiling. When you smile, like if I smile right now, everything, it releases the endorphins. You feel better naturally.
Yeah. So I think I want to try and experiment with my own students and tell them when they're getting to, like, when they're feeling the anxiety creeping in, or if they're stuck on a problem during a test, that they should try smiling.
I think that's an excellent
Yeah.
idea. I really do. Because when you walk around sometimes, I notice a lot of people aren't smiling. I'll smile and say hi, and then they'll smile. But in our society right now, I don't know, there's so much anxiety. A lot of people are just, they don't look happy, they're not smiling, and maybe that's just their kind of personality. They don't mean to portray that, but I think smiling is just so important, so we make everybody feel welcome.
Yeah. And I would laugh all the time. Excuse me. And I am the kind of person that, like, is smiling at strangers or opening doors or like trying to compliment people.
That's
And I
terrific.
really do think that it changes how you're viewed, just not even like working or selling, right? But just like being a person in the world, right?
Exactly, because you know what? When I go hiking, I'll make sure I smile, especially like there's a lot of people. I'm in the auto industry area, so there's a lot of people from different countries. So I always make sure I smile and say hi because I feel like if I went to another country, I'd feel really uncomfortable. So I want to make sure they feel welcome, and they'll smile back. And I thought, maybe that just helped them feel a little more welcome. And anybody that smiles at you like you do with people, it brightens your day, especially if you're kind of isolated and not having a great day.
Yeah, because we never know what's going on with other people, right?
Exactly.
It's the same
Yes.
thing. Like in
Yeah.
school, you don't know if the person sitting next to you is having like the worst day, and that one smile can actually make a difference.
That is so true. I think about that too when I'm walking, and even if I'm walking in a downtown, because you'll see some kids and you can kind of tell they're just full of anxiety. And I'll make sure I always go out of my way and say, "Hi, how are you doing today?" And they'll look, "Oh, hi," and you wonder if that really made an impact on them, and hopefully it does, so they don't think the whole world's against them. Because teens these days, as you know, tons of anxiety.
Yeah, yeah, tons of anxiety. So, one of the things that I liked most about the Smile and Succeed for Teens is, and you kind of touched on it already. You started off with the top 10 people skills. And the way that it's written in the book, right? So like the first one is smile, but then there's actually, what I love is there's a here's how for each of these. So like actually a step by step. So for smile, it's step one, smile, make it warm, genuine, heartfelt smile. Step two, look people in the eye. Step three, say hello. And step four, speak in a warm, upbeat, and friendly manner. Be sincere. So for each of these skills, um, it has like, and some cute cartoons to go along with it. But like actually broken down into steps. So why did you break it down like into that like explicit, right? Because like, someone might be like, okay, but yeah, if you just say smile, people know what to do. Like, why would you
That
break it down
I
like that?
love that question because some people don't know. And for the people that do, that's not going to bother them. They can skip it. But for many people, they haven't been taught these people skills. And when I had my startup specialty retail business, where I had this training program, which is what the book's based on, we almost needed to go in steps because if you just said smile, somebody might have a smile and, smile for half a second and that's it. But we had to really teach the young adults that, you need to really think about yourself, think about being happy, think about a positive outcome, smile, make good eye contact because sometimes somebody will smile, but they like if I'm smiling, but I'm not looking at you. Body language might be bad, the eye contact might be poor. So that's why I broke it down into steps to make sure every customer had a great interaction. And if you're going to make a friend, you make a great first impression also.
So all of this is based off of when you were employing teens, right?
Yeah.
So the whole goal is to like teens of all levels, right?
Yes.
Like maybe some of the teens that are on the spectrum even, right? Just like
Yes.
any ability level for them to be employable, right? Like you're talking through the steps.
Exactly. And actually, funny you mentioned that Temple Grandin, the leading autism expert in our country. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Temple Grandin, but she had called me the day she read my, oh, it's a great movie. She called me the day she read my book and she said,
What?
yeah, she called me and said, Kirt, read, she talked really fast. She's a wonderful woman. She said, I answered the phone. She said, Kirt, read your book today. Love it. You use my testimonial to get this book out to all teens to lower the unemployment rate. Because like she said, it's the basics. It doesn't matter if they are an autistic teen, if they're whoever they are, we all need these skills.
Yeah, top of their class, headed to Ivy League schools, right? It's
Yes,
still the
exactly.
same skills that you need,
Same, yes, same
right?
skills. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was, yes, it's based on the program I had because I couldn't afford to lose a single customer. And more importantly, I didn't want to put a teen in the position like I was when I was 16 and somebody just threw me on the retail store with no training. I didn't want anybody to come in because I didn't know what to say. So I wanted these young adults to be happy at work, have confidence, feel great about themselves because they know what to say and how to answer a customer's question. And then it's fun at work because otherwise, every minute is like 2 hours if somebody hasn't trained you and just throws you out on the floor.
So true.
Isn't it?
So true.
Every sentence I wrote in that book, Tina, I thought this will give that young adult confidence. And then I'd write the next sentence. This will, because I remembered how nervous I was without having any training. It's really, talk about stress and anxiety.
Yeah. And I mean, if I put myself back in the shoes of being in my first job, I was a waitress at Denny's.
Oh,
And
were you?
so
That's a tough job. You could do anything after you did that.
I am not a good waitress. But you're going through and you're trying to actually think about all the things that you have to do for your job, right? And like the steps, and like with waitressing, I was always nervous I was going to screw up somebody's order, right? And then how do you put it into the computer so it goes back to the kitchen, right? Like all these steps. And so like to be reminded of like all the skills that you need to do to make your job easier, right? Like it's phenomenal. Yeah,
Oh,
I love that.
thank you so much.
And then you took it to the next level. And you actually have the parents guide to go along with the book. So can you tell me a little bit more about this?
Yes, that came about because I was at I'll keep it short, but I was at not a conference, but an event from Future Horizons. They sell to the autistic community and they're wonderful. And I volunteer because they sell my book. And Brad, who works there, is always alone at the book table and he's got all these customers. So I told him, why don't I just volunteer? I'll help you sell my book anyways. I'll sell the ones you're selling. But I was able to use that time to talk to parents and I asked them, what else would you need that would be helpful to you along with my book? And they said, I was surprised. They said a parent's guide. And I asked them, why would you want that? And they said, well, that way we don't have to dig through the book and come up with the questions. It would be nice to have all the questions and everything all set quick and easy, just like the book. So that's why I created it for parents who want to maybe, for example, practice mock job interviews with their young adult, or, help their young adult do some exercises on cell phone etiquette, things like that. So it just makes it easy for the parents because otherwise you have to dig through and make up your own. And most parents, they don't have time to do that.
Right. No, absolutely. And as we were talking about the book the last time we spoke, it made me realize little things that, because I have 4 kids, 2 are in college, and then I have a high school junior and an 8th grader. And it made me realize one of the things that I never thought as a parent was to do like mock calls for like having them set up their own doctor's appointments. And
Yes,
like, right, like preparing them for adulthood.
exactly. I love.
Because we don't think like, oh, like maybe they don't realize, like, and then as I had a conversation with one of my kids about it, he is so nervous about like, what if they tell me a time that they want to meet and I'm like taking a lot of time to look at my calendar. It's fine. That's their job. And they're okay waiting while you look at your calendar to see if that's the correct time. but you could also prepare beforehand by having your calendar up and right, like little things that like we do, but you just don't actually think through the steps.
Oh, exactly. And I do have a
Right?
teaching guide for teachers, but
Yeah.
you're right, because when I spent 9 months meeting with teenagers, a lot of them told me, put in the teaching guide and the parents guide. Well, not the parents guides because they didn't have it, but the teaching guide. They said
Yeah.
how to make a phone call, and I said, really? And they said, yeah, my sister's terrified to order a pizza. One of them said, and I said, well, let's do that then. So I learned a lot from this wonderful group of teenagers that met with me once a week for 9 months.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm glad they gave you some good feedback. So the parents guide is different than what they use for the schools?
Yes, the parents guide is targeted towards parents. The teaching guide has a lot of the same items in there, but a few more exercises that educators would use. So you could use either one, but I tried to make the parents guide a little shorter for parents and the teaching guide just with a few more activities to fill a semester.
Yeah. So it's made to be in a semester long
Yes, but
activity for high.
that's tricky. Educators will always ask me how long, and I tell them, well, you could do it in a day if you wanted, but you could take it across a semester. It depends on how much time they
Yeah.
spend on each activity. You could spend 5 minutes on exercises on how to greet a customer, role playing, like the student will be the customer and maybe another student will be the employee, and then they switch. You could spend 5 minutes on that, or really you could spend, you know, the whole hour on it or the whole week on it if you really wanted to do that and go visit a farm market, see how people greet you, things like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
semester long is perfect, but some people do it, they can do it in a week.
Got it. And then over the in the teacher's guide, you said you have activities. So like doing the role playing.
Yes, lots of role playing activities. For example, it's got all the role playing activities for the top 10. And one of them is, and you would relate to this since you were a waitress, which I could never be a waiter or a waitress. I give you so much credit. I would have a meltdown, I think, but I would forget somebody's order. But for instance, you're the only employee in your business, and you're with a customer and another customer walks in. What do you do? So it's a role-playing exercise. Most places you walk in, they just ignore you for 20 minutes until they're done with that first customer.
Right.
This role-playing activity teaches the young adults to stop and say, excuse me 1 second, Tina, I just want to greet this customer. Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming in. I'll be with you in a couple minutes. Or, hi, how are you? Thank you for coming in. Let me go get Harry to help you. I'm
Yeah.
tied up with the customer. Just that, acknowledge that customer and make them feel as welcome as the first customer that you're with.
Yeah, it's so true. And I saw this yesterday. I brought my grandmother to lunch. She's gonna be 99
Oh my
next month.
gosh.
I know. And she's still completely with it, just as sassy as she's always been.
I love that.
And so when we walked into the restaurant, there was two people ahead of us to be seated, two parties, and then someone came in right after us. And the people behind us didn't realize that the person at the very front of the line was actually for getting a large party. So the host had walked away, and no one else in the restaurant acknowledged that anybody was standing in line.
Oh,
And so they were already irritated
yes.
before, right? The guy behind me was like, "Well, I hope the service is a lot better than this." Right? And I was like, "Okay, yeah,
Great.
I could see why you said that, but you also need to have some grace, and you don't know what happened before you walked in."
Well, that happens a
But
lot. I was in a bike store last year, and this gentleman walked in, and the person waiting on me didn't say anything. I couldn't help myself. After 2 minutes, I said, hi, how are you? And he goes, oh, I'm just bringing my bike in. And I said, for a tune-up. I said, well, I don't work here. This gentleman does. And afterwards, the customer saw me in the parking lot, and he said, how hard is it just to say hi to somebody? And I said, I know it. He turned out to be an educator, and I gave him one of my books, and he gave it to his supervisor, and she bought a whole classroom back. So it was kind of interesting. But I felt bad. He was just standing there. I thought somebody has to acknowledge this poor guy.
exactly. Exactly. That's awesome.
And I forgot to mention, I do have the online course I have an ebook, audiobook, online course if people prefer that method for the book. So I tried to make it available any way the young adult would want to digest it.
Okay. So the online course could be used individually, but maybe even in a classroom setting as like supplemental things.
Exactly. This is all supplemental, and I've got a online course version for the schools where they can get a classroom pack with a teaching guide in it. And then
Okay.
the same online course can be purchased by parents. Just one course does not have the teaching guide in it because it'll get
Right.
too confusing with the young adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, yeah, same course, same as the book, except I was able to add, because it's online, I was able to colorize the images, add interactive questions and answers, and some really good curative videos, but same information. And again, it probably takes the online course probably a little over an hour to complete. So just really quick and easy.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Um, and then one thing that I loved is I was going obviously I really love the book,
Thank
but
you.
another thing that I loved is one of my sons suffers from some extreme anxiety,
Oh,
especially when it comes to he's the eighth grader, my youngest,
okay.
especially when it comes to talking to new people, right?
Yeah.
And um the one of the things, and it was actually a free resource that you had, that if you go to the website, it gives you conversation starters.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I didn't realize, like, his go-to phrase is how was your day, right? And so, but he might ask me how my day was like 5 or 6 times during the day. And when I asked him once, so I do keep, he's like, I don't know what else to say. So And so I was like, oh my gosh, here are some like examples that I could give him. That, I mean, I obviously gave him examples when we
Sure.
were talking, but I love that you had that up there as yeah, you had questions like, I think one of them was like, what's your favorite thing in school or something like that, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, some ideas. And the website also had a lot of other free resources.
I try and update that a lot so there's no dead links, but yes, because I didn't want to make the book too thick. So I
Uh-huh.
made it really thin. And then if they wanted more information, they can go to the free page. But your son who's got the anxiety, I can relate to that because I had that anxiety when I was younger. And just if he reads this book, it may give him a little more confidence, take away some of that anxiety, and make him realize that, everybody has this anxiety. We all have some of that anxiety,
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
people. And maybe that would make him feel a little better too.
No, absolutely. And there were even things for like where to volunteer at. And like,
Yeah.
yeah. So like the amount of information that you cover in your book is mind-boggling.
Oh, thank you. One question, does your son like play sports or anything, or have a way to release some of that anxiety? I was just curious.
Yeah, so he doesn't play sports. He does ride his bike a lot and hangs out at
Perfect.
the park a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
was wondering. That helps to. I found when I was younger, I had that anxiety, and if I did something like hiking or riding a bike, I'd feel better after that.
Yeah. 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 Getting that nervous energy out.
Yes, good.
Yeah. Awesome. So if obviously I'm going to put your website link in, so to share with people so how they can connect with you. Was there anything else that you would like to share?
I would just suggest to parents, if I could, because there's so much anxiety with young people right now, and some of them don't have the employability skills we're talking about. If they're looking for a way to help their teen, I would highly recommend like a part-time job with something they're interested in, even if it's an afternoon a week. Volunteering, like you mentioned, is a great way to practice the social skills in the book and get some confidence. So, but I think those two things are so important for many reasons. Like you probably got confidence, met new people, were practicing social skills when you were a waitress. I mean, dealing with those people, you probably thought, I can do anything after I do this job.
Oh, absolutely. And I was in high school. It was the summer between when I graduated from high school and when I went away to college. And they put me on a night shift at Denny's once. And I was like, never again. You don't pay me enough to deal with all these drunk people.
Exactly. Oh, and I did want to mention my books and ebooks and audiobooks are on Amazon in any country. But the online course is at my website where you'll have the link.
Okay.
So that's kind of the difference.
Got it. So I'll put the link to your books on Amazon then.
Yes. And then
Okay, perfect.
if they want to order the books on my website, or the online course is not available on Amazon, it's only
Got it.
available on my website, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And the this all ties in with, as we talk about, I mean, people hear me talk all the time about confidence and assessment, and I really think they're hand in hand, and test scores are going to get better when you're more confident in all the skills that are in here. I only mentioned the smile, but some of the other skills were like saying please and thank you and making eye contact, and all of this. Introduce yourself, make a friend, right? All of these are going to help boost that confidence, which is to me the number one way to boost any test scores.
I agree with you. And I think they do go hand in hand. When you're a little more confident, you'll probably do better on the test. You won't have so much stress, and you won't be overwhelmed. You already know you can handle things. So I think it is a good kind of, I think they mesh well together. And yeah, saying please and thank you. And when somebody says thank you, the book teaches them to say you're welcome instead of yep or no problem. So just little things that, create a great first impression, bring customers back, make employers happy, and, create great friendships.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome, Tina. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. That was fun. Thank you.